setting up the YouTube streaming. So, well, while that happens, I want to welcome you all to this event from the International Federation for Public History. We are very grateful that you accepted our invitation, and I'm also very happy about this event because it's the first time we have someone from Italy here with us. So I think I mean, that's great. So I'm going to introduce the presenters today. I am Jimena Perry. Most of you should already know me. So today we have with us Licia Bianchi. I hope I'm saying that correctly. She's a PhD student in early modern history with a digital humanities project on Athanasius Kircher's work, Roma Tre University. She's a co-curator of public history project of the Public History Project Campus. She's also part of the CISPH Inter-University Center for Research and Development of Public History and member of the Italian Association of Public History. Welcome, Licia. Then there's with us Jacopo Matriciani, aka Spadanera. He has been involved in the reproduction of antique weapons for collectors, cinemas, and museums located in different parts of the world for more than 10 years. In the last years, he has become a prominent element in the Italian and international reenactment scene, participating and organizing several events with real success of the public. Um, he is characterized by his dissemination and involvement skills. He has organized experiential routes in order to make the most of the tangible and intangible heritage involved. And last but not least, we have with us Igor Pitsiruso. He's a digital and public historian at the Ferruccio Fari National Institute, where he's also in charge of history didactics. He's member of the board of directors of the Italian Association of Public History, AIPH. Thank you. Oh, and also Pop History ETS. So thank you very much for being here, for the three of you, and the floor is all yours.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, Jimena. Hi, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank you, Jimena, and the IFPH for the invitation and the opportunity to organize this event. Since thank you. Hi, Jimena. Hi, everyone. I hear my voice with an echo.
There's an echo. I think that's the YouTube.
Yeah, maybe it comes from YouTube.
Let me see how can I fix that.
It's always strange hearing his own voice. Okay. Maybe you can deactivate the audio of the YouTube browser, the browser internet.
Yes.
Yeah, unmute it.
I am on to that.
Hearing his own voice. Okay.
So, can
okay.
you hear me now?
Yeah. Now, okay.
The echo should be gone, right?
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. I was saying, since it was the first time you had someone from Italy in an IFPH Explorer event, before discussing the topic, let's take a moment to talk about a little bit, very little bit, about the Italian Association of Public History, AIPH. I'd like to share the screen. Let's see if it's okay. I think you see now the website of the association. The association was founded in 2017 during the national conference held in Ravenna, alongside the International Federation International Conference. If you go on the website, in the section of the first conference, you can see in the photo gallery maybe some familiar face also of IFPH. Oh, maybe I choose the wrong gallery. Okay, this one is the right gallery. You can see some face like Thomas Coben, the former president of the International Federation. In these 8 years of activity, the Italian Association has held its conference almost every year. The exceptions were the 2020 and 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But during those years, the Italian Association organized a series of online events called Dialogues in Public History. You can find here the list, 3 cycles. We made 3 cycles of these events. We talked about public history in general, teaching public history, digital humanities and shared authority, cultural heritage, games and video games, and obviously we talked about also reenactment. That is the topic of today event. The association also carried out a campaign for the public recognition of historians as a professional role in general and above all by the Italian government. The last event took place in Rome on February. Let's see if I can find, yeah, this one, La professione dello storico was the title. It's important to underline that in Italy, in the various public competitions, competitive selection processes for public sector jobs announced by the Ministry of Culture, the role of the historians is not recognized. There is no ranking for such a position. So it's very important for us to make this campaign to recognize the role of historians in the public competition and also in the society. Meanwhile, the Italian Association published its own manifesto. You can find in the right column of the website. The first version was discussed and approved during the conference in 2018 in Pisa, if I remember well, but Serge and Enrica can correct me. And the second version was made by the board of the association at the end of the 2023 and the beginning of 2024. It was a makeup to update the previous one. The association has a regular newsletter, and Jimena knows well because every 6 months I ask her to write a brief text on IFPH activities. And in those years, the association has structured some working group on specific topics related, obviously, with public history. You can find the list also on the website. We have a group on gender studies, environment. That is the latest one, born in 2023. Photography, labor history, game and history, of which I am the coordinator. And I want to spend very few words on 3 of them. The first one is the working group on public history and university that in 2022 led to the creation of the Inter-University Center for Research and Development on Public History. The center you mentioned before, Jimena, presenting Licia. It's a research center that brings together nearly 20 university departments where public history is taught or practiced, and exceptionally for the Italian context, also includes the Italian Association of Public History. It is very uncommon for research centers like these to include a non-academic entity in Italy. The second group I want to talk about a little bit, it's the didactic and education group, the school, gruppo lavoro scuola, school working group, this one, because the group organized seminars in the month leading up to the national conference in preparation for the participation of schools and teachers in a specific day of the conference itself. In general, it's the first day this year in Modena. This event will occur on June the 3rd, the first day of the conference. And obviously, we have, you have already seen it, the working group on reenactment. That is the focus of today's discussion. Italian reenactment has a very unique history and development. I'm sure Jacopo will soon highlight why and how. I want to spend a few words echoing the core concept that Enrica Salvatori recently pointed out. because in Italy, reenactment has followed a different path compared to its origins and development in Northern Europe and America, where it emerged as early as the late 19th century. The reenactment of historical battles in Italy is a relatively recent phenomenon, and the establishment of an open-air museums featuring living history events has been and remains limited. The presence of reenactors at cultural sites is still relatively weak, although it's gradually increasing, and this is a very important thing. Also, the connection between reenactment and academic research in fields like experimental archaeology and history remains fragile. On the other hand, Italy has a long-standing tradition of historical festivals, and I think Jacopo and Licia will talk about these a little bit more, both secular and religious, which are deeply rooted in local communities, whether in villages, towns, or cities. Over time, some of these festivals have incorporated reenactment groups inspired by the Northern European model. Moreover, there have been efforts to use reenactment as a tool for promoting cultural heritage, sometimes in connection with historical festivals and sometimes as independent initiatives. The blending of traditions, along with the other contributing factors, has recently sparked a renewed interest in reenactment among Italian researchers and policymakers. As a result, a unique situation has emerged in which public historians have the opportunity to play a crucial role. So it's the reason we are here tonight, this afternoon for us in Italy, and this morning for people in the United States. Jacopo and Licia, I'm sure, are going to delve into the topic and the issue, but before that, I would like to share some other additional insights that I come across during my studies on video games, particularly during my research on the Italian imagery in digital game presented in France last October. I will change my sharing, and I have just a few images to suggest something to you. Okay. Speaking in France with an international audience, and not only in France, and querying games mainstream production of video games set in Italy, it became quite evident to me that most of them, the majority, if we consider the international knowledge of imagery of Italy's past, are closely tied to the Roman age or the Renaissance era. The most famous example is this one, maybe the second chapter of the famous saga Assassin's Creed. And I know Jacopo will also saying something about this video game. Assassin's Creed, the second chapter of Assassin's Creed is set in the last decades of the 15th century between Florence and Venice and other locations like San Gimignano and Monteriggioni. The case of Monteriggioni is very peculiar because Monteriggioni is a town that has experimented a big growth in tourism, Italian tourism and foreign tourism, after the game was published and played. So the connection between video games, reenactment, tourism is very, very, very strong. During the gameplay, players can explore better famous historical monuments. They can also have a conversation with Leonardo, Lorenzo il Magnifico, and Rodrigo Borgia, the Pope Borgia, that in fact is, spoiler art, the nemesis of the game and the bad of the game. Both monuments and people are all associated with the idea of Italian Middle Age, but in fact, they are from the very last decades of that era. Broadening the perspective, things are not much more different from this case study. If we consider other types of games, role-playing games, strategic, or even not historically set games, we realize that Italian specificities are often overlooked, and Italy itself is regarded either as a captivating backdrop for its architecture and landscapes. Here you can see one case. This is a fighting game, an old fighting games. You can see the Tower of Pisa, maybe something that recall Venice, all in a unique background. So, Italy is seen as an homogeneous, indistinct historical stage with such little consideration for the variety of experiences, as well as political and cultural system throughout the entire peninsula, which, however, exists between the fall of the Roman Empire and the modern era. In fact, we can say that games that showcase different historical periods or perspective than Roman Age or Renaissance are often independent, which we should interpret not as a category, a strict category, but as ingredients, or they are Italian games. But the Italian video games industry is primarily, or we could say maybe entirely, made up of local software houses. So we don't have big sellers. I choose one example for me, a very interesting one, Mercanzia, the game set in the 13th century, made by this software house, Entertainment Game Apps, that is, despite its name, is an Italian software house, but it's a very small software house. And the game Mercanzia, it's a game for very, very, very little group of people. But why is the imagery abroad like this? Why does this happen? I talked about video games, but this happen also in TV series, movies. In my opinion, this is clearly connected to tourism. We have seen the case of Monteriggioni, how tourism and those products are so bond, so related, so linked. And the touristic image of Italy abroad is shaped around the ruins of Rome or the paintings or sculptures of Renaissance masters. However, one of the most well-known Italian events abroad is this one, is the Palio of Siena, which is not related to Renaissance and even less than the Roman age, obviously. But the palios, and we will talk about palios today, have a very strong connection with the specificity of Italian Middle Age, yeah, of the communes and the lordships, and the reenactment also. Today, it is interesting for us to analyze how the Italian past is reinterpreted and carried on by reenactment, and how this can stimulate a more conscious form of tourism, both domestic and international, fully or at least more completely aware of Italy's past. That said, I will interrupt my sharing. And I give Jacopo and Licia the space they deserve, because they are certainly much more experienced than I am, and they will certainly share many interesting things with us. I think Jacopo will start, correct? Yes.
Okay, yes, for me it's
up to
good.
you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I immediately want to share the. Okay, I don't know if you can see the imaging. I want take the hook Igor giving to me. So this is Assassin's Creed Chapter 2. This is a part of the game. You can see this important typical boat of Venice, the gondola. And this is very, I have this little story because my friends works inside the software house made Assassin's Creed, and he tell me this, the guy of course want make in all the town of the game, Florence, Rome, etc., this typical kind of boat. And of course the guys say, stop, this one is only for Venice. It's not a typical boat of all Italy, but it's specifically for this town, the town of Venice, of course. And this is a little story, but it's just for make an example about every every town, every city, every region in Italy have a very complex and typical history. We can see inside the video games, the movie, etc. Almost the same thing in all Italy, in every time, etc., etc. So this kind of imaginarium is a little bit surpassed, but it's important for us for understood how it's possible now the reenactment in Italy is made, because in this moment the reenactment in Italy, it's plus or minus, of course, it's not all the same, but it's little homogeneous in all Italy, in all the country. So it's important for us understood that, because many of the palios, many of the reenactment festival, etc., have this kind of idea in a fantasy medieval style or in a peplum Roman style. But we see next. First thing, Igor say very well, in the north of Europe, usually the reenactment is made from the university, from historical, from archaeologists, etc., etc. And this is very important, because the start of reenactment is begun in museum, is begun in university, in academic part. This is in England. This picture you can see, it is in an archaeopark. This other one is probably one of the most important, I don't know, archaeology experiment in the world. This is Goudelon in France, and they literally rebuild a castle for research. This kind of project is completely financed from the state, from the university, and the archaeologists work inside. And this is very important, because this kind of projects made together from reenactment and university. This is important because in Italy we have a completely different way. So the reenactment start in Italy in probably before in the rest of Europe, but with a completely different genesis. This is a very old picture. This is Palio di Siena. Igor talked about. This is one of the oldest picture I found on the web, on internet, and it's very interesting because after the World War II, we have a hole in Italian society, because the fascists have really pushed the population to make some games together. I don't know, the parate or walk or something after work together, games, sports, etc. With the end of World War II, we have this kind of hole in the society, and borns the palios. So the palios, it's literally some games, but it's made with all the people inside the city or the town, and have something historically, but usually it's not completely historical thing. It's just a game. It's just a way to make together all the people of the town. It's interesting because the 90% of this kind of palio have like a background, a middle age era, but of course the fascism have using a lot of the imaging of the Roman Empire. So closing the World War II, we need something other historical period to use, and many cities in Italy, of course, have some medieval building or Renaissance building. So this kind of palios born with this kind of Middle Ages ambience in background, maybe some historical facts like, I don't know, some emperor goes in the city, or some pope visits the city, something like that. So catch some historical thing, but it's not really important for the palios. The palios, it's the 90% of palio have a game like a center of the fair. Sometimes it's like Palio di Siena with horse races. Sometimes it's some ability games, etc., etc. So this is almost the foundation. Of course, some of these palios born much near. It's not after the conclusion of World War II. But many of them, I don't want using a lot of Palio di Siena, just because it's incredibly famous. I keep another couple of palios in Italy, but really every region have a, I don't know, 10 palios, maybe more. In last 20 years, probably the number of palios go a little bit down because many palios closing, because many of the people works inside the palio just became old and doesn't want to make to the palio. So this is an example. This is Narni palio. It's Corsa l'Anello, race for the ring. And this one, if I remember good, this year's is the 58th edition or something like that. This is start in the 60, maybe 60. Some other palios start in 17, but almost this is the period many palios in Italy start, and an entire generation born and became great in that in this structure, because usually the structure of palio, you have a town and you divide in 3 or 4 parts, faction, and they just fight together for, I don't know, the race of horse or some game, like one it's throw by bow, etc., etc., etc. Many people is just born and live with this kind of mentality and with this kind of division, because this faction of the town in all the year works for make costume, make scenography, etc., for the palios. The very interesting thing, of course, is this kind of division. Sometimes it's just new. It's not historical. Some palios, like if I remember good, the next one, yes, this one is Palio di Albenga. It's in Liguria, near Genova. And this palio is very funny because they have the center of town, of course, built in Middle Ages, and they just decide 1 year, okay, we make a palio, so we divide in for the historical center of town. But they have absolutely no historical proof about that. They just decide, okay, this part is 1/4 of a city, this other part is another quarter of city, and they starting this game. And now it's very interesting how every people in Albenga have this kind of identity, but this identity is completely new, it's completely fake. They decide, okay, this is the quarter of city Santa Eulalia, and this other quarter of city San Siro, etc., etc. But they don't have any kind of historical reason for the town in this way. But this is important because this kind of game create a very strong identity with a Middle Age, a fantasy Middle Age background, but completely new, completely fake. Another important thing in last plus or minus, I don't know, couple of decades, plus or minus, this kind of palio starting need to find some historical not just historical research for have idea why they do this kind of game, but more the necessity to evolve in the clothes, in the accessories, etc., etc. So they starting make research in historical part, asking to academic people and starting to create a new um, a new part inside the paleo. So some people inside the paleo starting make research, starting make artisan, improve his artisan skills to make costumes, to make sword, armor, etc., etc. And in last couple of decades, we have this kind of transformation. Many times, this little cluster of people jump up out of the paleo and start to run. And this kind of people becoming the modern reenactment groups in Italy. Almost all the reenactment groups in Italy doesn't start from school study, university study, etc., but start from a palio, starting from a festival. It's just a little cluster of people decide, okay, I want push out of my comfort zone. I won't stop to make costumes like a fantasy movie, and I won't start to make a real clothes, a reconstruction of clothes of that period. And they decide a period, of course, a historical period, and starting to make a very hard path, because they doesn't start from a kind of study like, I don't know, historian, archaeologist, etc., but they are just a common people, and really start very slow this kind of path to go more historical and to go much nearer to other reenactment in Europe. Plus or minus, in Italy, we found two big category of reenactment, and one, of course, you can see in the screen is Roman reenactment. This is very popular for plus or minus two regions. The first one, of course, we have a lot of Roman structure around the Italy. But the second one, and this is very strange if you think, is the peplum movie. Of course, you know, around the 15th century and 16th, many, sorry, the mouse, many movies are made in Italy, the peplum in Cinecittà, in Rome. And so in that period, many artisans start make reproduction for the movie. Reproduction, maybe it's more like you know, props for the movie. And around the after 1670, this production stops in Italy for cost. The kind of movie do is different, etc., etc. So they stop with the peplum, and all this kind of stuff, all this kind of props is go to the reenactment groups. Today, you can find a lot of reenactment group just have a gladius, armor, helmets, etc., etc., really used in big colossal like Ben-Hur or Cleopatra, etc. You can just find exactly that props now using in reenactment. usually it's not the best reproduction, but many of reenactment Italian groups started with that props because it's incredibly cheap. In Rome, you have literally tons of these kind of props, and they can using for the movie because the taste of people is changed. The new camera is much more can catch a detail, so that kind of prop is not so good. So they have literally sold liquid to the reenactment group, and many of the Roman reenactment group starting by this kind of material. So this is a point to start of the Roman reenactment in Italy. The second category, of course, it's a medieval and Renaissance group. This is the probably 80% of the reenactment in Italy. It's the big part, and this is the kind of group I talk about. And this is all the group came out from the palios. Almost all these kind of groups, it's begin like a paleo members, and next time it's like a mitosi, divide of cell. They divide and create two new groups, and again and again and again. So now we have a lot of reenactment groups in Italy, all around the Middle Ages, plus or minus, not all, 80%. Of course, the Roman reenactment is divided plus or minus in two other under category. One is gladiator, the other one is just military, like a legionary, etc., etc. The civil part is very small. In the Middle Age reenactment group, we have a more different kind of groups, a lot of military, of course, but they have this part of recreate a living history camp, living history life inside the museum. So it's a little bit different. The Roman part of reenactment, it's almost just a parade. It's really rare they make a tent, an encampment, etc., etc. But now, in last 10 years, plus or minus, probably less, we see another step. This reenactment group, it's outsider from the culture part. It's outsider of museum, it's outsider for the university. So they works plus or minus only in the palios, just they come out, and in some kind of fair with a not exactly historically reason, but plus or minus is just a fair for show, or maybe something like a fantasy Middle Ages, something like that. But in last time, the reenactment became the joining ring from museum and public culture, and became a real public historian, because the manufactory they have start, it's incredible, because the reconstruction of clothes, weapons, armor, etc., now it's very fine. Some of these clothes, it's a perfect replica of an original. Some sword, it's the same, etc. And this kind of capability, this kind of know-how can be very important for, I show this example, for a museum, because a normal museum with not incredible repertoire inside can make a show like that, just using this background of clothes. You can see in the center part a totem with some words for explain what is this clothes, how it's made, from what sources it's using for made it, etc., etc. Another part, of course, is the public historian figure, because the reenactment people can be the frontman of some of this kind of festival, or museum, archaeological park, etc., etc., for show to the public the dress, the life mode, the accessories of in this case I'm in 13th century clothes with my sword, and I can explain how works the sword, how works the the table, or the weapon, or the military infantry of that period, etc., etc. But it's not just talking about. I remove the. Okay, I hope works. It's not just a way to tell the people, okay, this stuff appear in this year in north of Italy, blah blah blah. But we can just touch that. The people can literally keep in her hands the sword, feel the weight, feel how that move, etc., etc. So it's another experience, completely different for the public. And I really hope this is the way we can go with Hive and Enrica, etc., etc. This is our mission in this moment. Sorry, I see I go a little bit long. Sorry. I give back to you.
So thank you, Jacopo. So we should continue with Licia.
Yes, thank you of the word. I shared my yes. Okay, slide. We can see that.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. You want to
Yes.
put a full screen?
Yes.
Yeah, down there. Yes, perfect.
Okay. Yes. Today I'm here to talk about a project entitled Campus, and which fits into the discourse of relationship between community tourism and historical research as an applied case study. So I would like start in my speech I will focus on the following points. The first, what is Campus project? And the second, Palio dei Ciuchi di Campagnatico and its reenactment parade. The first, the third, sorry, the process of crowdsourcing and enhancement of historical tangible intangible heritage. So I can see very well the slide. Just a moment. Okay. Yes, now it's okay. The Campus it's an Italian acronym for Campagnatico, activities, memories, heritage, and innovation in public history or shared history. And it started in September 2023, which is currently underway and was born from the meeting of ideas between two scholars and freelancers coming from different fields, specifically between me as public digital humanities scholars, young, and Valentina Priori as a young businesswoman and designer of historical costume, both linked to the territory in questions. But above all, the project grew from the reception of these ideas by the local association, named Associazione Pro Loco di Campagnatico, with the support of Annalisa Naldi, Andrea Viani, Giancarlo Innocenti, and the community of Campagnatico City. I can't go. Oh, sorry.
You have made the slides.
Okay,
Okay.
it's okay,
Okay.
it's okay.
Okay.
Campagnatico is a little place which is located in the south of Tuscany and south of Siena, in the area named Maremma, within Grosseto province. Yes, is that. Okay. And when the project began, the tradition of the palio di Campagnatico was a community heritage without a specific historical philological reconstruction. The notoriety of certain literary references to the history of the Middle Ages, which were well known, had provided the inspiration of the historical reference framework of the reenactment after the Second World War. And the parish priest, Don Gino Faldini, was the local promoter of the knowledge of the late medieval history on the noble Aldobrandeschi family of Campagnatico, whose history was read and spread through Dante Alighieri's Commedia, written between 14th century. And in the 1950s or 1960s, the historical corteo parade that accompanied the palio was created with a costume available in the local manufactory, some brought from other neighbor municipalities. Most of the costume were made for the stage and weren't always historically relevant to the late medieval period. Rather, these costumes represented an imaginary mix of styles ranging from Renaissance to Baroque. These are two Renaissance and Baroque are two historical movements in which the circulation of images explodes in Europe, and there are more representation available than there were in the Middle Ages. The late Middle Ages, Renaissance and Baroque in Italian cultural history are profoundly different period in terms of costume and are also different from an international territorial consideration. And yes, this was one of the critical points that moved and motivated the campus project and which we are currently investigating. The second key aspect of the project, which has become its aim, is the collection and historical digital reconstruction of memories and sources on the palio and its corteo by the local community itself. And we will see at the end how. So, in the second point, Campagnatico, we can say that Campagnatico is an Italian commune of about 2,300 inhabitants, divided in four contrade or district during the Paleo period. Each contrada is associated to an iconic urban space of the ancient medieval center. Named Pieve, Centro, Santa Maria, and Torre are the ideal boundaries made up at the same time of revived Palio by the community of Campagnatico. Yes, the district compete with the female donkeys each other. There are two races for the preliminaries and one final. Palio dei Ciuchi di Campagnatico is so called because Ciuchi in Tuscan dialect means donkeys. The race course is run on the ancient walled bastion, as you see, sorry. Okay, the road on the race in the head. The ceremonial of the Palio is rigorous and strict. It takes place continuously every year on the second Sunday in September, and only in exceptional cases, for example, due to bad water, the dates can be changed. It begins with the presentation of the cencio, the hand-painted prize by an artist, and then on Friday there are in the afternoon the provaccia, that is a race test of donkeys, and in the evening the contrades propitiatory dinners. The work of the contradaioli lasts all over the year and intensifies as the race approaches among discussion, beats, and general enthusiasm. Yes, and Sunday is the big day with the historical corteo parade of the district, the blessing of Ciuche, female donkeys, and the performance of drummers and flag wavers. The contrada that wins the race occupies the central town square, offering drinks and food. The winners will have a place of honor at the opening of the following year's parades, get their prize, cencio, and display their flag on the face of the municipality. But, yes, this is on image. But what was the historical, cultural, and political context in the years when the Palio and the corteo were revived? Information on the origin of the Palio in Campagnatico is uncertain and to be reconstructed. What we do now from some photo and local memory is that there was horse racing in the 1800. Documented certainly in its nowadays shape since 1957. After the Second World War, the date of 8 September, the feast of the Nativity of the Blessed Virgin Mary, was chosen as a propitiatory moment and social meeting to promote the reenactment. Odoardo Bacciarelli wrote in Punta di Piedi And this subtitle was translated, sounds as verse by young centenarian from Campagnatico. This is collection of poems. We find some about the palio, including one dedicated to palio girls from the 60s. So, in the same year, as notated by scholar Aurora Savelli, a famous film for international tourist promotion dedicated to the Palio of Siena was released in Italy, exactly that race which over time has become the most famous horse competition in Europe, if not in the world. And yes, this is an image of the film La ragazza del Palio. When the inhabitants of Campagnatico chose to opt for a competition with donkeys instead of horses, as we have told, the event was equipped with a historical parade in style, which could evoke the late medieval memory that characterized the territory. So the famous verse of Dante Alighieri about the family that dominated this territory, the Aldobrandeschi, provide the reference framework for the reenactment of the corteo. But what is the figure of Umberto Aldobrandeschi in Dante's stories? Umberto Aldobrandeschi was the lord of the country. He died in Campagnatico in 1259, according to some version for murder by rival Sienese. According to others, he died in armed clash with Sienese soldiers. In Dante's comedy, written almost 60 years after Umberto's death, the Count opens. The Count opens. The Count opens one of the circle of purgatory by telling his story and embodying the scene of pride. In this sense, the decision to opt to donkeys races as opposite to the Chinese model trace the antagonism that characterize the medieval historical event best known in the popular memory. In addition, the journey of Pali raced with donkeys is not exclusive to Campagnatico, but since the second post-war, it appears that other rural realities have followed this model, and yes, we can collect some questions to go with the conclusion. And what was the economic push of funding to increase the Italian cultural tourism industry after the second post-war period? How have communities chosen to self-represent themselves through history, what sources can still be collected to enhance the history, tangible and intangible heritage of the territory. And yes, finally, I would conclude with the process of crowdsourcing enhancing description. So at this point, yes, which campus we have started studies on late medieval iconography sources for the remarking of costumes by local craftsmen, and we have launched a crowdsourcing for the filling and metadating of photographic, audiovisual, and written heritage. All this was possible thanks to the collaboration among different roles and the circular transfer of knowledge and skill between public historians and the people of Campagnatico. The community that holds, cultivates, and daily implements this memory and this heritage. The case of Campagnatico tell us how history is something that is structured in shared experience. The case of Campagnatico tell us how history is something that yes, something that is structured in shared experience, and we looking at reenactment, we must consider the stratification of time and the use of imaginaries. Okay, yes, I had finished, sorry.
Thank you very much, Licia. So now we go with Igor.
Oh, well, I don't have things to add to the presentation. I would like to listen to some question or
Questions?
curiosities, doubt about from Sergio, Rika. But Rika has studies this topic a lot. So if she wants to share some opinions, some thoughts with us, we're happy to listen. But also Sergio, Fabio, Sandra, I don't know
If
them
also
in person, but
if somebody prefers to write
well,
the question in the chat, I can read it also.
okay, for us it's perfect. No, for me, well, I'm speaking for Jacopo and Licia too, but
Someone from YouTube, maybe.
also
Oh,
from YouTube or for YouTube comments,
I
yes.
also if there are comments, I already posted. Let's see if there's not many people on YouTube, but I think but probably I have a question for Jacopo. I have to confess that I don't follow much reenactments. This topic is new for me, and it's also like very interesting. Like I mean, that's why one of the reasons this event is so interesting. But for example, Jacopo, or for the three of you, really, if somebody is interested in participating or being part of reenactment, is that possible, or do they have to belong to some kind of group or collective and have some kind of training or something?
No, I try to answer. Usually, no. You can participate in reenactment with any kind of problem, but this is very different group from group. I don't know. Some groups maybe have a structure inside, so yeah, they have more clothes, more accessories, etc. So if you want to try, you just ask them, then and you came in some event and they giving to you clothes, etc., etc., etc. So you can try the atmosphere, the you know, the structure of the company, etc., etc., the group. Usually, this is because some groups in Italian call themselves company. So we sometimes using company word, but it's wrong. Other one, maybe smaller reality, have a problem in have a new guys go inside, but just because they doesn't have extra clothes, extra material, etc. So you have a first part of time you just follow the group, just go to the event, but maybe just a T-shirt with team or some kind of sentence on it, and you follow the groups and you starting learn the period, something about the period that they reenact, and you have the possibility to buy your equipment in time. This is a very hard barrier for the reenactment because everything is incredible, high expensive. so you need a lot of money just for start. I take an example: shoes. You need shoes absolutely because it's very it's very hard. You have the same number of shoes of another guys of group, or they have exactly your number of shoes for free, for giving to you in extra. And so you need to buy a shoes, but usually historical shoes, it's around 100 euro. So starting reenactment, it's incredible expensive, but
He froze.
Oh,
Oh, we lost.
technical issue. Okay, we retake it. Okay, you let him. Okay.
Fantastic. and that's it. I don't know if I answered right to you.
Yes, I because I as I said, I don't know much about reenactments, but are you able to point out some of the differences of the reenactments, for example, done in the United States? Do you know, for example, cases of
in US it's different again, because the genesis of reenactment in US, it's different from the I talk about north of Europe, usually England, Denmark, etc., etc. In US it's different too, because you have two big soul in reenactment in US, because one part is made from museum, historical park, etc., etc., and a big part of that is usually, I don't know a lot about US, but I have some parents here, some parents in New York, so I sometimes chat and talk about reenactment. And this soul is strong almost in two periods. One is the colonial period, and the other one is in Civil War period. Yeah. Another part, the other soul is the medieval reenactment, etc., or the Renaissance fair, etc. This soul here, it works in 90% in the show. They make a lot of kind of fair, but it's commercial. I don't know if it's correct word, but it's commercial. It's really combined with dinner or it's very famous, a case of chivalry fight. And this chivalry fight, it's inside a beautiful arena. They make this kind of tournament, etc., with this beautiful arena, and they give it's like a big restaurant, literally. In the center of the restaurant, they make this kind of tournament with a horse. It's a mix from reenactment and show. It's very combined. I have some friends make a very good and historical accurate reenactment. in US. I have a lot of clients in US, but it's not the common part. The common part of reenactment you find around US, it's not always, of course, but it's a little bit low historical quality, but it's very strong inside a business part.
Yeah, I was asking because the reenactments that I know of in the States where I live, the ones I have seen mostly are about the Civil War, and some historians tend to criticize that a lot. So also, I'm going to read a comment Serge posted in the chat. I have problems with my laptop. I cannot really do more than listening, but because of the importance of reenactments in Italy, it could be eventually interesting to know about statistics of events that are taking place in the peninsula and how this is impacting tourism and community participation. This is to reveal better to an international public what Igor, Jacopo, and Licia told here so well about the centrality and importance of different types of cultural reenactments in the country. So, and also I have a question for Igor also about the first things that you mentioned about the Italian association. And I also talked about this with Serge. You have like a group that is with community, like with people who are not professional historians, right? Like that you do outreach to the community.
But each group, you have to be part of the association to participate to a group. So this is the basis. But you can be people from a community and associate yourself to the association and then take part to the working groups. But we work like groups with the community. The reenactment group, I think, but Jacopo will be more suitable to answer to this question, but for me, I coordinate the group with on games and video games. Each year we participate at the Play Festival. That is probably the most important festival of gamers, board gamers, in Italy. Now, it was held in Modena until the last year. This year, for the first time, moved to Bologna. And there we have a great exchange with the community. It's a specific community because it's the community of players. That is not a territorial, a local community because it is a community, a large community. Play at the festivals, play from people from every part of Italy and also someone from Europe. For instance, this year we had a game designer from Netherlands, Marcel Kohler, who made recently a game on resistance in his country. So the community is not only, but maybe for reenactors, the community is more linked to the local community, for the territory. For the game designer, public historian who work with games, the community of gamers is a more wide community and less local community. But each group works with, also the group with the group on didactics and education, the school group works with the school of all Italy. So it depends. It depends on the group.
Okay.
I want to sorry.
No, go ahead. No, I was asking because I was thinking about the federation, like how you do that, how you do actually do that outreach. How do people know about the work you're doing?
How do people know? I can talk again for the game and video game group. It's a matter of relationships between other subjects, other entities, scientific, maybe academic, but also not academic entities. So we can call them communities. but not local communities. They are communities of people. It's a public. It's a specific type of public, the public of gamers. That is a public that is from. But I think the relationship between other entities is fundamental to reach more people and participate to events like Play Festival or other events. It's a hard work because each year I have to I don't know to call people to write them to make these relations work. They don't work by themselves. So, but I think this is the key. For me, this is the key for my group. But Jacopo, maybe for the reenactment group, has a different vision.
Okay. I have a question for Licia. It's a very basic question. It's a very silly, let's say, question. I know that palios are basically horse races, but you were talking about donkeys, and you mentioned this in your presentation. Can you talk a little bit more about that? About like why this specific case was with, I mean, more about the donkeys, and if there's any kind of I mean, why did you choose this case, and why are the donkeys so important?
Okay, I choose this case because in this moment I inside inside the project and the work with the community, the local community of Campagnatico, and I was born near Campagnatico. I know well this reenactment and this performance. The second question on donkeys. I think, but I'm not sure. This is to one hand a political choice in the 60s. Because Siena was very great palios and famous, and the choice of donkeys is an opposite choice, antagonistic choice, and the other aspects probably is the question of agrarial, rural communities in opposite of urban communities. Other manifestation is present it's present in Tuscany, like Rocca de Righi, palio, and other ones. But I noticed that, and I haven't had the time to study the relation by this particular form and genre. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if Serge has another comment, or if Sandra.
I want to add two things,
Please.
if I can. Okay, thank you.
Course.
The first one, I want to when you talk about work on the ground, or local work, I want to underline something about the reenactment group, because the group, and mostly Enrica Salvatori, has made an advanced course for reenactor organized in the University of Pisa. This is I think significant, because reenactors have the opportunity to train, acquire scientific skills, and in a certain way find a legitimization that can make them being viewed with less suspicion by the historian. You said before, Jimena, that reenactment groups and events are seen with a suspicion, a little bit of disgust, maybe. I don't know if you,
No, no,
if
no,
you say
no
that.
disgust
No,
to say.
are you didn't say that? Okay, but they are seen like something not much more, not serious. We can say not scientific serious.
Okay.
And these course maybe can help also the profession of reenactors to have to lift up. No? So this is important because it's open also to working group of reenactors, the group, the compagnie of Jacopo talked about before. So this is an important activities on the territory. And another aspect I want to talk about, briefly, a few words, is the tactile aspect that Jacopo mentioned before. It's very important because it's closely connected to the object learning, object-based learning. That is very difficult when you talk about history because original objects, ancient objects, are held by museums. So you can't go in a museum and take a sword, take an object. The reenactors and people like Jacopo who build swords and or robes or clothes are important because they can add this object-based learning on object that normally people can touch, can feel. So this helps with to engage with the tangible reality of historical objects. It's very powerful. I remember when I went in the conference in Florence, I met Jacopo in person for the first time, I think, and he made me try a sword and explained to me, for instance, that the lower part of the blade goes inside the hilt. I didn't knew that. He opened me a world of perspectives. So this is an epiphany. So I think it's very important to understand also those little aspects about objects, and reenactment help us to understand that.
Yeah, I agree that the pedagogic part is really important, but also I think that the people that do the reenactments have to be like very aware of the context also. I'm thinking about the Civil War in the USA. This also has to be like a really deep awareness of what they are reenacting because it sometimes could get controversial. So I think it's that part is really important. Yes, I
But
totally agree.
in Italy, we have some kind of similar controversy on reenactment on the Second World War. I remember when the president of the Gothic Line Association, the Gothic Line was a line, the defensive line in Tuscany and Emilia-Romagna in 1944. And they made tracking and they make also now. They make also now. They made not in the past. They do that also now. They do trekkings and trips by foot by feet in the mountains, in the hills, and some of them is clothed in uniform, in Nazis uniform, in German army uniform, that is seen like a critical element because sometimes people insult them. They didn't understand that is a reenactment. It's controversial. Why? Because in Italy, maybe you know already, we have a problem with our fascist past. a big problem for me, but we have a problem, a little problem for with the fascist part. So reenactment based on Second World War can effectively give space to nostalgic sentiments and nostalgic groups who not only represent the fascists, but feel themselves fascist. So yeah, I understand, but I think we don't have this issue for medieval age, middle age. We have this more for the more contemporary and recent history.
Okay, thank you.
If I can, I just spend a couple of words because, okay, it's over this part. It's a controversial part of reenactment. In reenactment, we have another big responsibility because when we go in front of public and say, okay, guys, the sword is heavy 10 kilos, it's wrong. Spoiler, it's wrong. No one sword is heavy 10 kilos. But sometimes I listen this kind of stupid thing in reenactment, and that's another point because when you are in front of public, you are a public historian, and you have the responsibility what you say. Because if I say a wrong thing, the people, the public, will say, okay, this is historical correct, and go back home with this idea. And it's incredible hard to remove that idea. Sometimes I make some show, and in this show I have this must try to under debunking the fake news of Middle Ages, and it's incredible hard to do because everyone thinking the use prima noctis like in Braveheart, it's a reality. Everyone think a sword can be 10 kilos heavy. The knight go up to the horse with armor with a strange way because it's incredible heavy and they can't jump on the horse, etc., etc., etc. So a lot of kind of stuff. So when you are a reenactment with public, it's not just a game for you, but you are in a public situation. You have an incredible responsibility.
Jacopo, do you have any videos that you could share, like links to that I can post in the account?
Yeah, technically I have my YouTube channel, but it's only in Italian, so I don't know if it's the best. But if you wrote me, I can send you a lot of that. I really love a YouTube channel. It's Ia Spina. The name of YouTube channel, if I remember right, it's Knight Errant, and he spoke about reenactment, Middle Age reenactment very well.
Okay, I will get in touch also to share with the explorers that are interested and don't understand Italian or something. So we are I mean we already ran out of time, but I want to ask you if you have anything to say, anything to add, any comment, any doubt. Licia, do you want to say something to finish, like a closing statement?
Probably there is a lot of things to talk about on this reality, but yes, we can say that specifically the importance of specifically community, specific community, and the importance of collaboration between historians, public historians, other figures, and the desire of communities to open the tradition to the study. And yes, to the studies, yes.
Yes, the negotiation of the public historians.
Yeah.
It's typical, the negotiation, the constant negotiation with the communities is the key. But Jimena, thank you very much for the invitation. It was
Thank
very,
you so much.
very interesting and very nice.
Well, no, I have to thank the three of you. This was really, really interesting. I wasn't
Thank you.
expecting. I wasn't expecting.
Okay.
I have to confess, it was like, okay, so it was eye-opener. So thank you very
Glad
much.
to have you surprised.
Yes. And I hope it's not the last time. I hope we can keep this conversation going. And you're welcome to Explorers anytime. So I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much.